Yeah, so I was just so excited to hear about this group and meet these people, and I also, just wanted to contribute. So what I decided to do was to go and have a curiosity conversation with a local sushi restaurant. And I chose the restaurant based on the fact that during COVID, one of my daughters had said, "Oh, Mom, can we order from this restaurant?" This is when you couldn't go to restaurants; you only could do takeout. And I was like, "Sure." And we got this food, and it was just so beautifully prepared and carefully prepared and so healthy. And I just felt so grateful that these people that I've never even met were providing this wonderful food for me and my family. So I thought, well, I'd like to, go there, actually meet them in person, and have my curiosity conversation. So I was a little nervous. I knew there could be, the language barrier, but with the support of this group, I was like, okay, here I go. So I went one afternoon, kind of mid-afternoon, thinking it wouldn't be too busy, and was trying to explain, that I wanted to have this conversation. And the woman I was talking to, I could tell she didn't really understand what it was I wanted or what I was talking about. And, then I just said, I I'm so grateful. I was saying, thank you, and how I enjoy the food. And as soon as I started saying thank you and getting around to that, her face just kind of lit up, and it was like, oh, she's now hearing me. And so she said, okay, come back tomorrow at this time, you could talk with the manager. And so I did. And as I was going back the next day, I actually was doing the box breathing that Henrik and Adam had taught us, because I felt like, okay, this could be challenging. I just had this feeling it was maybe going to be a little bit tough. So I go into the restaurant, and again, it's kind of at 3 p.m., so not a really busy time. And this woman looks at me and yells at me, and she says, "Here for pickup." And I was like, no, I'm here because yesterday I said I wanted to have this conversation or whatever. So I was all of a sudden, very, very nervous and uncomfortable. And so she kind of looks at me, and then she goes into the back. So I'm just kind of standing there. And then she comes back a little bit later, and she says, "Okay." And I said, "Oh, are you the person that I'm talking to?" "Yes." I was like, "Oh, well, thank you so much." And I was telling her, just how much it means to me, this healthy, beautiful food that she brings to our community, and that I would love to know more about the restaurant and about her, and how did she decide to work here, and what is her role. And I wasn't getting anywhere. And she was just saying to me that she didn't understand, why am I asking these questions. And I was getting more and more uncomfortable. And then I realized, it just hit me, that she probably thinks that I'm like a food inspector, like I'm trying to find out, is the fish fresh enough. I could tell she was not really wanting to keep talking. She had other things that she needed to do, and she was kind of giving me body language signals that, enough, she kind of had enough. But I stayed calm, and I just, left her with saying, "Thank you so much. I'm so grateful." And I think I could tell she was a little confused. She was like, what does this woman want? And then I talked with Adam and Henrik, and I felt much better, talking with them, and really was feeling like, no, this was a good thing to do, because she wasn't expecting me to just come in and say thank you. She was expecting me to be needing something for her, or questioning her, or challenging her. So I was feeling good about that. And then Adam and Henrik were like, "You should go back to the restaurant." And I think Adam even said, "And take your daughter." And so I did as instructed, and I went back to the restaurant, and I took my daughter, and it was amazingly. So anyway, she did come over, but she wouldn't make eye contact. And so I ordered the food, and I realized she thinks I'm going to be asking more questions, or maybe I've come back and maybe my daughter is actually my assistant inspector or something. So the whole thing, the vibe was a little weird. But then, and it was great to have my daughter with me, because she's just such a loving, warm person. She just has this way about her. So I said to her, we just need to keep saying thank you, and to really express that. And sure enough, as the meal went on, and she brought us this food, and we were appreciative, and she started warming up to us, and she started looking at us. And it was just during that process, it was like, wow, I really learned a lot about the power of thank you. Anyway, I feel like it's a process, and I'm going to keep going to that restaurant, and I'm going to keep trying to have more and more conversations, but I feel really good about the progress. And it was great. My daughter, when we left, she was like, Mom, I think that's amazing that you're doing that. And I was just like, wow, that just felt so good. And to just see the younger generation and her appreciating and agreeing that this is just such an important thing to get us more connected to the source of our food. So it was a great experience, and I want to continue with it.
What an amazing story, Jennifer. I'm so happy that you went back. Could you just imagine the impact you have on somebody if you just show up with that gratitude based approach and see that person soften up? It's also a very good story about what's the reality out there. So many people have this hostile environment, and we come in there with a completely different approach. We need to be mindful of this can be so overwhelming. Thank you so much for sharing.
And I just want to say thank you for sitting with that friction too. All this stuff starts with, oh, we want to make things better. Or we want something and we want to have a conversation. And it really is all about connecting, and relationships are not built overnight. And the fact that you show up and keep showing up, the ripple effects you're creating are powerful. I think it was the book, like 3 Cups of Tea, where they describe the first cup, you're a stranger, then your friends, then your family. We're trying to have heart-centered conversations, real conversations, not surface level.